Hey Narwhals, I'm your host Luke Narwhal, and today we'll be reading several short weight loss stories from r/lose it. Give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for more weight loss stories that help you stay on track. Dear fat people, when I was younger, I always made fun of fat people. I would think that it was their fault that they're fat. I'm so thankful now I don't think as I did before. I've always been a relatively thin person and I never went above 130 pounds. I played out a lot as a kid, and now as an adult, I work a very physically exhausting job. In March of 2017, something tragic happened. My dad passed away. He wasn't like a parent to me, but a best friend. I was heartbroken. My mom is abroad and my siblings are too busy to help. The only thing I could do to comfort myself was with food. It started out as just ice cream and other popular binge foods, but soon escalated. In May of 2017, this is what I ate. Breakfast, 8 sausages, 5 to 10 slices of bacon, 3 fried eggs, 5 pancakes, and a giant blob of ketchup. Lunch, a salad. I ate that every day at work. And since I was so starving for the salad, I came home to McDonald's, KFC, Krispy Kreme, and all that fattening stuff. After my feast after work, I try my best not to snack. I always woke up during the night and I would go out and binge on whatever I had. I went from 127 pounds in March to 254 pounds in January of 2018. I was so ashamed of myself for gaining so much. However, I couldn't stop binging like a pig. I carried on eating like this until August 2018. I weighed 305 pounds and decided this was enough. I decided I wasn't going to wait till next year or next Monday. I wanted to start losing weight and making progress at that moment. I bought myself a gym membership and cut down calories, so I was only having about 1,500 every day. It was tough in that first week of dieting plus exercise. My stomach was growling constantly, but I tried to ignore it after a while. It was like my stomach was a little toddler after I took its toy. Eventually, I lost 115 pounds, and now I weigh 190. I am still trying to lose weight, and the goal is 125. I've now learned that no one chooses to get fat. I promise I won't stare at you in the street or comment nastily about your weight. Instead, I'll give you good luck to lose weight. Thank you, Grandma. I am currently visiting my grandmother in Germany, who I only get to see every 3 to 4 years or so. Last time I was in Germany, I was near the peak of my highest weight ever. I remember visiting and feeling insecure and embarrassed. My grandma even at one point asked me if it was her fault that I was fat, since every time I visited she would spoil me with candy, sodas, pretzels, and amazing home-cooked German food that is delicious, but definitely not healthy. While hearing her ask me that question stung a lot, I told her that obviously it wasn't her fault. I could have the self-control to say thanks but no thanks to her offerings, plus I only see her maybe for 1 week every 3 to 4 years, so it would be impossible for this to be her fault. Over the last 6 months, I've lost 75 pounds, so I certainly look different, feel much better, and I've made a big lifestyle change when it comes to my fitness and diet. I have spoken to her twice over the phone during this lifestyle change, and I think I briefly mentioned it to her, but do not recall having a long or serious conversation about it. So I get to her home after a long day of traveling, and when I get to the door, she opens it up, sees me, and has the biggest grin on her face I have seen in a long time. And this was not the usual, "It's so nice to see you, grandson" grin. This was definitely a form of acknowledgement, and a "I am so proud of you" grin. And keep in mind that my grandmother is 84 now, and it wouldn't surprise me if for a little while she was more worried about my health rather than her own. I put down my bags, and she asks, "Are you hungry?" "Of course you are. You've been traveling for 12 hours. I already made food. Go sit down." Uh-oh, here we go. I sit down, and she brings me a glass of water, not soda. And then she brings dinner to the table, and it's a beautiful, healthy salad consisting of mixed lettuces, hard-boiled egg, tuna, tomatoes, radishes, cucumbers, and dressing on the side. She says, "I wasn't sure what you eat anymore, so I made this, but we can go grocery shopping tomorrow and buy whatever you need in the fridge." Wow, I cannot describe the emotions that overcame me. I gave her a big hug and thanked her. She proceeded to tell me that she still thinks it's her fault that I ever got so fat and that she feels guilty. I reiterated to her again that it has nothing to do with her, and that I really appreciate her doing this and that it meant the world to me. I ate the salad, and it might have been the best salad I've ever had, just because of the pure emotion I was feeling while eating it. And this had to be the best emotional meal ever, and it was good for me. Anyways, Grandma, I love you so much. I will never think it was your fault, and I will never hold you accountable for my own body and my own life choices. I had an epiphany. My low total daily energy expenditure as a short sedentary-ish woman isn't actually unfair like I used to think. Realizing this has made me so much less angry and basically changed my life. As a short woman with a low TDEE, I used to always feel bitter and shortchanged. As one of the shortest people I know, I have correspondingly one of the lowest calorie allowances. Everyone around me has a bigger calorie allowance, and it felt really unfair for a long time. My bitterness was a huge distraction, and the feeling of unfairness was used to justify a more than one week-ruining binge. It felt so unfair when I was eating 1,200 calories a day and only losing a pound a week, and then I go and read about people eating 1,800 calories a day, losing twice or even triple that. But I ran across, of all things, a political bumper sticker that changed my perspective. It read, "When you're accustomed to privilege, equality feels like oppression." It made me stop and think. In a hypothetical perfectly fair world, how much food would any single person get? I believe the answer is enough. I would not expect a 2-year-old child to receive the same dinner as a 6'6" adult. In fact, if they did receive the same amount of food, either the adult went hungry, not fair, or the child received more than their fair share, not fair. And with that thought experiment, I realized I was that 2-year-old. I was that child who received more than their fair share. That's how I got to be 200 plus pounds at barely 5 feet tall. I was eating so much more than I needed that I could literally lose over half my body weight and still be considered in the healthy BMI range. I'd been overeating for my entire life, and now, forced to confront the reality of what my actual fair share is, it's less than I had before, and that felt unfair. Once I realized this, I realized that the unfair part was not that I have to eat less now. The unfair part was that I was taking way too much before. Realizing this made me so much less unhappy and bitter, rather than complain in my head about my SO, who literally eats 3 times what I do and doesn't gain weight. I can spend my energy focusing on my goals rather than being pissed. I'm not posting this to chastise anyone or try to say this is the right way to think about it and anyone who disagrees is wrong. I am posting this because this change in my thinking made my life significantly better. I'm less angry, I'm less resentful, and I don't feel that the universe is unfair against me personally anymore. I don't feel like I've been stuck with the short end of the stick anymore. After this epiphany, it's been much easier to simply focus on the work and take a big chunk of the negative emotions out of it. I wanted to share in case it might help someone else too. So maybe next time you catch yourself thinking, it's so unfair I don't get to eat as much as he or she does, you can stop and change your thought too. It's so hard to come to terms with the fact that my whole life I've been overeating and to change my habits to what my body actually needs. This put the power back in my hands, rather than it being the universe's fault for the fairness and unfairness. For me, that has made such an emotional difference. I've officially lost 100 pounds. Hello, my fellow losers. I am so happy that I have finally hit this milestone. I was starting to think that I'd never get here. The last 25 pounds have been very difficult to get rid of. I posted back in October that I had gotten under 200 pounds. At that point, I had lost 75 pounds in 9 or so months, and it had been pretty easy to get to that point. Since then, the last 25 pounds have taken me almost the same amount of time. But I did get there. I stayed the course, put in the work, and finally reached it. I started out my journey in a 3XL shirt and was buying a new polo the other day and tried on a small, and it mostly fit. It was a little too tight and short for my comfort, so I went with a medium, but it almost fit. If any of you are struggling as you get to lower in weight, here are some things that seem to have helped me. I cut sweets way down. Even though I may have had the calories for them, I cut higher sugar sweets back. I started weight training. I was trying to wait until I had reached my goal weight to start lifting because I didn't want it to interfere with my fat loss tracking. However, as I started struggling with losing more, I decided to start adding weights in to increase muscle mass and therefore resting calorie burn. Because I started weight training, I actually increased my calorie consumption by 300 calories a day, but those calories were higher protein snacks. I started eating Greek yogurt, high protein granola, beef jerky, nuts, etc. I started doing HIIT. I had already been doing the elliptical for 35 minutes or so for a year, but at mostly a steady pace with some higher pace here and there. I started really focusing on 30 minutes on the elliptical, 30-second sprint, followed by a 90-second jog. I feel like all those things really helped me, especially the last 10 pounds or so when I had implemented all of them together. Anyway, I don't know if any of that helps anyone or not. I hope it does, because I know there were times in the last 8 months that I was getting so frustrated that my weight wasn't coming off like I wanted it to. To all of you who are struggling, keep it up. You can do it if you stay the course and put the work in. And that brings us to the featured narwhals of the day from our subreddit. Our subreddit is a place to share pictures, ask questions, and get support on your weight loss journey. To join, just open the description below and click the top link. Click Use App, install the Reddit app, create an account, and then click Join once you're at our subreddit. We'd love to have you join us on the subreddit. Once again, the link is below. Alana says, hello, I'm so excited to share this milestone with you guys. So back in January, I told myself I wanted to lose 40 pounds by the end of the year. And as of today, June 18th, I'm down 42 pounds. A before and after picture of my journey thus far. New goal, 60 total pounds down by December. Chris says, before on the right, now on the left. Only a 10 to 15 pound difference, but I feel so much better. This is what keeps me going. Raisin says, the scale was going down, but I couldn't see a difference until I tried on my favorite trousers 1 month apart and 14 pounds down. Excuse the messy room, filter, and stupid caption. I never thought these would be before and after pics. Thanks for sharing featured narwhals. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more weight loss stories that help you stay on track. Thanks for watching narwhals, and I'll see you in the next one.